Hi everyone, how is it going? I hope you're doing well. Happy Tuesday. My name is Astrid. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well with the solar eclipse we just had, this incredible shift of Neptune into Aries that we're going to talk more about today. If you like my videos, don't forget to give them a thumbs up. Consider it sharing them with other astrology fans and subscribe to this channel. And I want to thank everyone who has already subscribed. I just hit 1,000 subscribers just 2 hours before my exact solar return kicked in. So I want to thank everyone for the beautiful birthday wishes, for the donations I received. Yeah, there were so many unexpected little gifts from each and every one of you, which meant like the world to me. So thank you very, very much. So today, Neptune in Aries. Yeah, this is like a historical shift. Neptune in a fire sign, the world is about to undergo like a major cultural and also ideological shift. So yeah, let's get this show on the road. Let's get it started. So here we go. Neptune into from Pisces to Aries. This is like such a big shift. So Neptune is already in Aries. It shifted on the 30th of March and it will stay into Aries until October the 22nd this year. So we are like getting a little preview of what's about to come in 2026 because in January of 2026, Neptune will be in Aries for the next 14 years, all the way up until 2039. But in May of 2038, it's going to start making its transition into the sign of Taurus, of course. So let's look at what Neptune and Pisces actually meant. Because, yeah, Neptune is, of course, the planet of dreams, illusions, also spirituality. It has been in the sign of Pisces since 2011 and 2012. That was actually a period where we saw like the rise of social media. We also saw the smartphone revolution that also caused a bit of the blurring of like personal and societal boundaries. And also there was like a big increased focus on mysticism, psychedelics, which all eventually led towards like a shifting of identities in a way more spiritual way. So this era of Neptune into Pisces has been like defined by the dissolution of limits and also like wholeness, the internet connection. It's like it acted as like fostering instant connections, but it also amplified illusions on a very, very big scale. So Pisces is about mysticism, martyrdom, sacrifice, collectivism, also idealism. And the counterpart was, of course, Virgo, the opposite sign. And Virgo is like service, work, groundedness, details, the real world. So there was like a big bouncing back and forth between these two signs of Neptune. So yeah, it's also Neptune and Pisces was also about like magic, mysticism, astrology, a big focus on mental health, and also a lot to do with drugs, the fentanyl crisis, which is all linked to Neptune and its home sign of Pisces. So yeah, there was also this identity politics, there was this whole woke culture, and also DEI, which is like diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it was about the dream world versus the real world, and like the unseen realms versus reality. So a lot of people just like passively swiped away their life in the last 14 years. So that's like about to end, because now Neptune is like has it been in its entire cycle through all of the 12 signs. It's like now complete, this whole cycle. So now we begin anew. And it's like our collective initiation into like new dreams, new ideals, a new spiritual purpose. And it's going to be a lot more fiery, passionate, and bold into the sign of Aries. So yeah, this whole big 14-year cycle has come to an end, or is about to come to an end, especially January 2026. And yeah, this transition into Aries marks like the new beginning of a new cycle, one that will be like characterized by action, by independence, and quick radical change, because that's all related to the sign of Aries. And yeah, we have been seeing a lot of things that are a little bit difficult, because yeah, the last time Neptune was in Aries was from 1861 until 1875. So we saw big world conflicts such as the American Civil War, the abolition of slavery, and also the rise of revolutionary ideas. So yeah, the upcoming shift can bring intense ideological battles, one that will transform on a global level, because Aries is about individualism, also pioneering. It's like taking action, heroism, competing, wanting to be the first, wanting to be alone. That's all like, yeah, that's all part of Aries. So the counterpoint that we're going to see now is Libra, the opposite sign of Aries. And Libra is about balance, harmony, unity, fairness, justice. So yeah, we're going to see a big rise in this right-wing populism for sure. And now it's like about separatism versus union and balance. And yeah, like before, Neptune and Pisces, that was like Neptune and Pisces, they ruled the movie industry. So now we will see virtual battles online, because Aries is a sign of war and conflict. So the energy gets like channeled into an information battle on screen. But yeah, what's new? But it will definitely like intensify. And when Neptune was in Pisces, we were like idealizing the victim. Now we're like gonna idolize the soldiers, the mavericks, the doers, like young men, because that is like typically for Aries. So yeah, and because it's like fortune is gonna favor the brave, because we can now like take true action on our dreams. So yeah, it's like we don't have to wait on anyone to come and save us anymore. This is like a very powerful time to step into action and really like begin creating the world we actually dream of, and taking some action towards that. So yeah, this is like a new beginning where like spiritual warriors are on the rise, because now it's like about embodied vision. And Neptune is like about the veils and the unseen world and the dream world. And like the veils are getting thinner now, not into our dreams anymore, but into our action planned strategy. Neptune now like rises from the ocean and really steps into the flame of Aries. So yeah, you can look at it as the spirit gets ignited, and the dream is no longer floating. Now it's gonna burn. And it's no longer passive, but like pressing forward into the unknown. So where Pisces like blurred one's sense of self into the collective, Aries now like strikes a match and reclaims it. So yeah, it's like the dissolution of illusion through fire. And it's like the unmasking of false identities, which we're going to see a lot of in the coming years. So it's like, yeah, the rebirth of something raw, something that is like fully ours, that is like fully embodying the self. So yeah, we are now like entering a time where all these spiritual ideals like beg to be embodied. So the time for like endless passive drifting around is like over. So yeah, it's about like the mystic with a spine, and the artist with a sword, and like the healer who dares to lead. Because Neptune dreams and Aries does things. So and we need to be a bit careful, because when our dream and the doing is like, or like our dream and our action, if that's like misaligned, we like burn out before we begin. So yeah, the days of hiding under the sheets are over. You're going to need to like ground yourself into doing things right now, into taking action, even though it's like full-blown chaos out there. So, and I know a lot of people do some type of group meditations whenever something bad happens in the world. For example, like doing a group meditation with 100 of people from all over the world, praying and meditating for people in need. For example, the kids that are starving, and that is actually really beautiful, of course, but now we will need to take action on the matter as well. So whenever the group meditation is over, you're gonna need to get off the couch, get yourself in the kitchen and cook some meals for the kids that are actually starving. That is like Neptune in Aries now. So people who will just keep continuing like sitting on their couch, wishing, waiting, believing that everything will just fall into their lap and work out fine without taking like decisive action, those people will have a very, very hard time. So yeah. The next slide, and Hannah is saying yes to living self-sufficient. Yes, exactly, Hannah. It's like about being independent and just like ontsplanteren, as we say in Dutch. So yeah. Hannah is one of my friends, so from Belgium. So haha, yeah, I can really feel that now that it's time for action after 34 years of dreaming. Yes, well, we all had plenty of time to dream and to like vision about what we would like to have as a dream, or to like figure out our dreams. Now it's time to like, yeah, put it into action. So here we can see the chart of it's like the world map divided into 12 of the 12 zodiac signs. So we can now see which part of the world that is ruled by Aries on the geodetic map. And if we, if we like add the rising sign, which is like a lot to explain, but this is like another part of the world that comes up. So yeah, America, South America, Eastern America, which are also ruled by Aries. Here we can see the Aries countries and cities. You can take a screenshot. I know I've like shared this slide a couple of times, and I'm probably gonna have to share it a lot more with all these shifts into Aries and with Saturn moving into Aries by the end of May. But if you live in a city or a country ruled by Aries, this Neptune transit is going to be way more profound for you guys. So take a screenshot. So Neptune into Aries. Let's look at the chart. So yeah, it's been 150 years ago since Neptune shifted into Aries. So yeah, it's because Neptune's cycle around the zodiac is 165 years. So meaning no one that's lived has ever seen this shift happening before in their lifetime. So it will briefly go retrograde back into Pisces by the end of October, and then in January the cycle will be complete and she will stay into Aries for the next 14 years. And the most impacted are going to be those with planets or angles between 28 to 29 degrees of Pisces, and the first degrees, let's say 0 to 4 degrees of Aries as well, but also the other cardinal signs, which are Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, of course. So for all of you guys, expect bold new beginnings in your spirituality. You can have spiritual awakenings, and be a bit mindful that you're a bit more influenced by potentially conflicts that are like driven by ideology or misinformation. So yeah, and we're going to see a lot of that on a global level, especially in regards to war. So keep that in mind with the current state of the world. And there's actually an archetypal clash between Neptune and the sign of Aries, because Neptune is associated with like the mystical, the unseen realms, the idealistic, while Aries is a sign of like bold action, war, individual willpower. So yeah, it's going to bring like a dramatic shift from passive dreaming, Pisces, to active pursuit of ideals, Aries. And the change will like push people and movements and even entire nations towards like asserting their beliefs in more aggressive or straightforward ways. So yeah, Neptune dreams, illusion, spirituality, compassion, art, but also the subconscious mind. So it's about fantasy, mysticism, collective ideals, because it's the planet of the collective unconsciousness. But it also rules escapism, and Neptune is often like blurring the boundaries between reality and illusion. And Aries, on the other hand, is very bold, impulsive, very action-oriented, and also highly individualistic. and it's ruled by Mars. And Mars is currently in a water sign in Cancer, so it's about protecting the home or the homeland. Mars is dispositing Neptune right now, so all these themes are going to come to a head, especially with the solar eclipse it just had in the sign of Aries as well. So yeah, Mars is the planet of war and aggression, so it's like a stark contrast between Neptune's soft flowing and passive energy, and this combination is like going to create this new unique blend of like volatile dynamic energy where like your dreams and ideals are like going to be pushed into action. But possibly it's going to be a bit accompanied with reckless urgency, can also be about misdirected passion if you're confused. So yeah, be a bit mindful of about that. But it's also going to lead to like this collective search of inspiration, because we're going to feel like the urge to break free from illusions and actively pursue new goals. So it's like a bold new beginning, but it will, like Neptune is an outer planet, it works more in the background. I know a lot of astrologers are now on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube like screaming like, oh wow, Neptune is going to shift into Aries tomorrow, we're all going to change our life over the weekend. Like, no, Neptune works in the background. It is a collective, it works about the collective unconsciousness, so it's going to take a while, and I think it will only be by January, February, especially when we will see the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in 2026, that things will like really kick off. So but yeah, definitely this shift will like force individuals and also societies to like confront deeper truths about our existence. And it's gonna lead to like groundbreaking discoveries about our cosmos, about human consciousness, and the nature of reality itself. And like, look at the news regarding the pyramids. It like all these things that came out from pyramids is like absolutely blows away like the mainstream archaeological narrative about who built the pyramids and why. And it just like it vindicates Graham Hancock's work, and it like opens the door wide open to the idea of, let's say, reality of advanced ancient civilizations, which I like all talked about in my Neptune Saturn video. If you want to check that out, I've listed in the description box below. It's really worth to watch. I've like put my heart in that presentation. So yeah, our reality is shifting in a big way. So we actually now come to the conclusion that we like lived in this false reality during Neptune's stay in Pisces, because it was like very, very strong there in its home sign. So yeah, now will be like the real spiritual mass awakening, because now it's about like becoming it and like fully integrating all the Pisces lessons we've been through the past 14 years. So yeah, if you look back at it historically, Neptune in Aries has birthed both spiritual pioneers like Swami Vivekananda, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. I'm sorry, Swami, but he like introduced yoga to the West, and it not only birthed spiritual pioneers, it also birthed very power-hungry leaders. For example, Julius Caesar, whose delusions of grandeur led to his assassination. So yeah, this duality means that the upcoming era will likely produce both visionary leaders, but also dangerous fanatics. And that is something to keep in mind of. And while I'm like mentioning assassinations, we all know last year on July the 13th, we saw the attempt on Trump's life during the rally in Pennsylvania. And I just want to quickly notice you that like the full moon in April that we're going to see on the 13th or on the 12th for the States is linked to that particular time. So chances are very high that we're going to see another attempt on his life. But I'm going to talk more about that in my next video about the full moon in Libra. So Claudia says, congratulations, Astrid. Thank you for your insights. Thank you so much, Claudia. I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight. So let's look at the future of global conflicts and a rising theme of revolution, and how that's going to play out in like the hero's journey. Because a major concern about Neptune in Aries is, of course, its historical connection to war. The last time we saw the American Civil War, which was like very much fueled by ideological battles over freedom and oppression. So Neptune in Aries brings often a fierce and bloody conflict with like plenty of burning. It's in a fire sign. So yeah, that's like really a chilling parallel to the tensions rising in today's world. And on top of that, every time Uranus has entered into Gemini throughout like the US history, the nation has experienced an armed conflict. Think back to the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, but also World War II. So yeah, it's like, yeah, raising the question whether we're going to see another global or national conflict. Could be on the horizon. But while not all wars are like physical, ideological battles over freedom, governance, and personal rights will likely intensify. Um, but Neptune's presence here could also like offers the possibility of like a spiritual awakening and like a new heroic era, one where like individuals and societies like rise to face new frontiers. So yeah, we saw social revolutions, very pioneering advancements. And yeah, the American Civil War was really like marking a battle over ideals, over identity and human rights. So yeah, the war led to massive casualties. I think over 100,000 people died during that time. And yeah, the abolition of slavery really like marked a lasting scar on the nation. So yeah, other similar ideological battles that we saw back then on a global level was the Franco-Prussian War and also the unification of Italy, but also the Paraguayan War. So yeah, it's like independence over union. It's the Aries Libra axis. So will we see a repeat? A lot of people are asking right now. And I think not in the same way it happened last time. War today is very different than to how it was back then. I think frequency warfare with Pluto and Aquarius. I also think it's going to manifest the next level geoengineering over the next 2 years, especially with Uranus at its critical 29 degrees of Taurus. Neptune and Saturn are going to come together with Uranus at its nth degree. That could point towards eruptions, tectonic plates that are going to be shifting and moving. That could trigger volcanoes, and when it erupts, there could be lava going into the ocean, creating like a lot of steam. And Saturn will like form new structures in water, Neptune, and new islands or like land masses could be formed because of that, because that's like resembled by Saturn, but I digress. So yeah, in the Civil War, we like saw people rebelling against authority. And now it's like going to manifest as less cooperation from the states with the federal government, especially in the US. But for the rest of the world, it can like manifest more as a rebellion against the global system. And we can look here at the very beautiful picture, but yeah, it's like it's going to manifest more as rebellion against the global system. There is like a spiritual war against globalism. So yeah, there's going to be a rebellion against Klaus Schwab and the whole UN system. People don't want to be globalized. That can be like a Neptune and Aries story. The desire to separate from the great reunion that is like coming or wanting to form. So rebellion against totalitarian global systems. So yeah, here we see a beautiful picture of our beloved friend Klaus Schwab. He can eat tea bugs, I won't. So Aries association with heroism means that like cultural narratives may like shift towards celebrating individual courage, pioneering figures, and those who like fight for ideals, not for globalization. So Neptune in Aries was like about idolizing celebrities. Neptune and Pisces rule the movie and the music industry. And we noticed that like the time of celebrities is over right now. The real idols will become those who fight against this totalitarian regime that they're like trying to install upon us. So yeah, where are my truth warriors? You're gonna be in need very, very much in the next few years. And the next slide is a bit intense, but Neptune's transit through Aries will likely like bring forth waves of like this revolutionary thinking, these pioneering innovations and major shifts in human consciousness. If you look back in history, there were like groundbreaking advancements. We had like Marie Curie's research on radioactivity. We also saw the rise of professional sports, which also belongs to Aries. But Aries is a fire sign, and during Neptune's last transit through Aries, we saw massive fires destroying cities. We had the Great Chicago Fire. We also saw the Peshtigo Fire. So this suggests that these disasters are related to the sign of Aries, particularly to those related to wildfires. So that could be like a defining theme. So I really hope that the LA fires were like a repeat of this cycle and that it doesn't continue. But at the same time, we also saw a very, very big rise or like a very big surge in spiritualism, with like movements that included seances, mediumships, and like also mystical beliefs gaining a lot of popularity. You can check out the Fox sisters. These are like these three sisters that became very, very famous for their public seances in New York. That was during 1860s. That was at the end of Neptune and Pisces back then. But this created like this huge rise in spiritualism. So a very big time for art, poetry, photography, because back then taking pictures became normal and got like implemented into society. And in terms of innovation, we saw the Transcontinental Railroad and also the opening of the Suez Canal. And that like really revolutionized global trade and transportation. Another fact was the Red Cross was founded during a Neptune in Aries. And that like really stood out to me because Aries rules the color red, and the Red Cross is to provide aid for soldiers. Soldiers belong to Aries, and Neptune is compassion. Just very, very strange that Israel just shot the Red Cross, but I'm not going to get too much into that right now. Another theme is that we saw a lot of unsolved mystery cases. With the last Neptune in Aries, we had Jack the Ripper. He like lived during that time. We also saw the creation of the Brooklyn Bridge because that's like made of steel and iron belongs to Aries. So we can see similar things like that as well. We also saw like the Krakatoa volcano eruption in Indonesia, which was like a very, very severe volcanic explosion, and it caused like major global effects. And we also saw the building of the Eiffel Tower. So that was like celebrating the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. So a symbol, Neptune of independence, Aries, which is also like a cool way to look at this energy. So, given the connection of Aries to warfare and Neptune's tendency to like blur the truth and ruling over illusions, we're going to see many conflicts driven by like misinformation, propaganda, and also ideological extremism. So yeah, brace yourself for like some religious or spiritual conflicts. Clashes between religious groups, cult movements, maybe some fundamentalist uprisings as well. There can also be resource conflicts. Neptune rules water, and Aries signifies struggle, suggesting that battles will be taken more to the water or in the ocean, at sea. Even war over water is possible. There can be oil disputes because Neptune rules over oil, and also fights over natural resources. They could like escalate a bit. And Aries also rules accidents because it's like the sign of risk. So expect problems with vessels, submarines, especially battleships. Think about fire, explosion, bombs. It will be difficult to like know the actual reason why certain accidents took place, because Neptune tends to hide or like clothe the truth or the reality of the matter. But as Neptune shifted into Aries, we saw an accident in the Red Sea with a submarine that sank. We also, I think today, Russia announced that they will like build 8 nuclear multi-purpose and strategic submarines for the Navy. And also the Navy of America is like pushing for innovation to like build the next generation of submarines. So that is like all Neptune and Aries energy that is like being awakened right now. Then another theme is mass formation psychosis. That idea is actually formulated by our Belgian psychologist, and his name is Matthias de Smet. I think he's a really cool guy. He explains like how a sense of isolation and loneliness and like the lack of meaning in life can like really lead people to like embrace illusory narratives supplied to them by power structures. And these narratives that like it makes them feel like life is meaningful again. And we've seen this like over and over again in recent years, as people have like been blindly embracing and accepting very bizarre narratives supplied to them by the mainstream media and the governments without any sense of nuance or discernment. And if there's like any planet we can associate with mass formation psychosis, it's Neptune. With Neptune in Pisces, we saw, the mass psychosis revolving around the pandemic, in which people who were like scared and alone, like really lost their minds and consented to things they would never normally agree to otherwise. So now with Neptune in Aries, the great risk we face is like the emergence of mass formation psychosis around war. And the powers that be are going to do like everything they can to like encourage new such mass formations, because that's what they do, whether that's like in war, in sickness, in war in Europe, or like in regards to war in Iran or anywhere else. They want more war, and they also want us supporting them. So don't fall for this obvious scam. Like, do not consent to their wars. Be very cautious of manipulation through narratives around war, especially involving Iran, Ukraine, and Yemen, because it will be very, very difficult to really know what's going to happen there, or like what really happened back then. Because in regards to Putin and Zelensky, some people are so blindfolded. They're like judging and screaming a lot of things without actually knowing what happened in 2014. So it would be wise to like look back at history if you're having some doubts, because if you're just gonna like believe the news and the media right now, you're gonna walk into like that end. And Tiny Pig says, don't drink the media Kool-Aid. Yes, that's a very, very wise decision. Just cancel your mainstream news media agent, because, they're not gonna tell us the truth. And Alessia Emma says, hey, Astrid, glad I get to tune in live, having my early cuppa here in New Zealand. Well, good morning, Emma. I'm so glad you're here as well. And the next thing we're going to look into is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, because it is actually very, very powerful. So Neptune governs water, oceans, our health, especially our mental health. Aries represents fire, can be about destruction, and also about the body, because it's the self. And Saturn is the great malefic. So yeah, it's a bit of a worrying combination. If you look back in history, we can see like very, very big things, like the Berlin Wall went up during a conjunction, and the Berlin Wall fell down during a conjunction. So that's like a bit of an example. So But right now we can like see it, because it's going to be in Aries. We can also see like major floods and like coastal changes. Neptune dissolves boundaries, and Aries like really accelerates the action in that. So yeah, be a bit mindful about like a water crisis or like a contamination issue, such as polluted drinking water, or like oceanic pollution will also be a very major theme with this conjunction. And if we look back in history, in 1953, we saw a Neptune-Saturn conjunction. It was not in the sign of Aries, but what happened back then was the North Sea flood. So in Dutch, we say it's the watersnoodramp. It was like a major flood caused by like a heavy storm surge that like struck the Netherlands, the northwest of Belgium, England, and also Scotland. Most sea defenses that were facing like the surge were like really overwhelmed, resulting in like extensive flooding. And this happened during a Neptune-Saturn conjunction. Now it's going to happen at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the world axis. So I can't like not stress this enough, but like, if you know what they're like planning in the Netherlands, then this is a bit worrying for me to see, because they're like currently digging holes in the sand dunes. They say it's for ecological reasons, but they're like excavating holes in the barriers nearby the sea. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if the Netherlands sees another big flood happening over the next 2 years, which is like, yeah, very, very worrying, because their dams and their barriers are like the most important factor of keeping all these people safe, and they're like digging holes in that. So yeah, I just like wanted to put it out there. But we can also with this conjunction see health concerns, fast spreading illnesses. And if we look back at the 1960s, we had the cholera pandemic. We also had the yellow fever outbreaks. So this could all like parallel future health crises. And I think a lot of people who are watching this show know what the consequences are of some medical procedures. And I think that will be very, very obvious during this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. The plague also happened during a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and like they all weakened our immune systems. If you took the medical procedure or not, like this whole thing in 2020 like really weakened our immune system. So the most important thing you can do right now to prepare yourself for the Saturn-Neptune conjunction by the end of February in 2026 is really like fix your health, guys. Fix your immune system, detox, get rid of the spike protein. Yeah, I like take shilajit, I take ashwagandha, maca supplements, I have omega-3s. I'm a Virgo rising. I have a lot of things to take for my health, but like I cannot stress this enough. Like really fix your immune system, guys, because you might need it in the spring next year, even during the winter already. So yeah. And especially we're going to have this eclipse in September in the sign of Virgo. The eclipse in Virgo in September will be at 29 degrees of Virgo, which is a critical degree. It's going opposite this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So yeah, it will be interesting September. I think playtime will be over in September. So enjoy the summer. Work out, get a lot of sunlight, sunshine, really strengthen yourself, because by the end of May, Saturn will move into Aries, and the only thing to like lessen Saturn's malefic influence in the sign of Aries is to work out and strengthen the muscles and really like increase your blood flow, because Aries rules the blood, Aries rules whatever's red, Aries also rules the head. A lot of people have been reporting more headaches with the solar eclipse in Aries. It's because Aries is the forehead and rules the head, and Neptune is now coming into that sign. So I think also a lot of Aries will have like this spiritual awakening, especially in their third eye. So let's go to the good news, because I know it's a bit intense. And Celestial Emma says, dissolution of Commonwealth. Well, yes, for sure, because Uranus, the planet that's ruling over our... Uranus is the planet of shocks, surprises, destabilization. It is currently in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is our food supply. It is our money. It is also love, and our Earth, Mother Earth, also belongs to Taurus. So yeah, it could potentially be very true. And this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is going to be at the MC, at the top of the chart of the Federal Reserve Bank. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see that play out. And I've made like a whole video on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I've listed in the description box below, and it would be very, very interesting to go check that out, because there you can look at the chart and follow along. Mrs. Lopez says, this is becoming one of my favorite YouTube page. I love this information history. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Lopez. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I appreciate it a lot. So with that being said, we're going to dive into the good news, because that's also existing. Sometimes as a Virgo rising, I maybe tend to put some more focus on the more negative sides of aspects, because yeah, when everything is going well and great, like nobody is paying attention, it's maybe better to know what can come, so you can prepare, and so you're not surprised and not feel overwhelmed. You can already take some precautions for that. But the good news is that Neptune's entry into the sign of Pisces, from Pisces to Aries, is like signaling this end of passive escapist era, Pisces, and like the beginning of an era based of action and initiative. So it's about pursuing dreams with courage rather than like simply fantasizing about them. It's going to be about breaking free from our outdated beliefs and structures, whether it is in politics, in religion, or in our social norms. And a big reassurance, or a big awakening of like the warrior energy. So individuals will feel like very called to fight for their ideals. There can also be like massive technological and cultural transformations. And the Saturn-Neptune conjunctions at 0 degrees of Aries will definitely serve as a big major turning point. And it's gonna really mark the true beginning of this new global era. So those who like embrace the change with clarity and a good intention will thrive, while those who will like sit in a couch, lost in illusions, may like face a lot of delusionment, a lot of chaos and crisis. So yeah, really take action on those dreams. They're like worth fighting for, and that is like the mantra for the next 14 years. And Tin Pig says, Astrid, you always call it as it is, the reason why we value your insights so much. Thank you so much, Tim Pig, because sometimes I feel like I'm just like putting out so much bad info, or like negative info. But yeah, it is what it is. And 2025 is a very big culmination year. It is a 9-year, so endings, completions, and needing to surrender and preparing ourselves for what's to come in 2026. And with all that being said, we're gonna start looking at the readings for the 12 signs. The first one is, of course, Aries, the star of the show for the last couple of videos. It will, of course, be in your sign. So as an Aries rising in your first house. So for Aries suns and rising, this is like a moment of like personal importance. With like the solar eclipse and Neptune entering in your sign and into your first house, you're like being initiated into like a new cycle of identity, purpose, and self-expression. And it's not just like about the image or your personality. This is about like your soul rising through to the surface in a way more pronounced way. You may feel like a powerful urge to like reclaim aspects of yourselves that have been forgotten, have been buried, or like unexpressed due to some fears. So yeah, it's about releasing past conditioning, stop over compromising. It is like your cosmic permission to like step boldly into your new path, even if it feels a bit unfamiliar, or even if you like don't see where you're going. That is like so typically in Neptune. So yeah, it's like a time of rediscovery, rebirth, and where to like become who you truly are. It may feel a bit terrifying and exhilarating, like at the same time. So trust that you are like supported by something greater as you like begin this new big chapter that is gonna start in 2026 fully. So really let your courage lead the way. First house is self-identity, personal directions. This can be a dreamy but somewhat confusing phase in your life. Yeah, it's like you can struggle a bit with uncertainty, but if you are able to really surrender to the unknown, very beautiful things, spiritual things, awakenings can really emerge. So it can manifest as like a spiritual identity quest. A lot of Aries are going to feel very drawn towards like self-discovery, artistic pursuits, are going to have like mystical experiences. Hypnosis will be very beneficial for you. Also, water-based healing practices. Aries for sure is going to find themselves way more sensitive, intuitive, and emotionally attuned. Be careful, because all these like heightened sensitivities could make you a bit prone to like escapism or like chasing unrealistic fantasies. And with Mars ruling Aries and currently like influencing your home and family sector in the fourth house, it could also like coincide with changes in your living situation or like a desire for a more spiritual home environment. It could also be about inner emotional healing. The fourth house is about our deep rooted emotions. So yeah, if you feel an urge to withdraw, to reflect on past wounds and like restructure your beliefs about yourself and about your personal goals. So it is like a time to ground yourself into reality, because Neptune's hazy energy can like really blur your direction and your self-awareness. So and the downside of Neptune is that it could also influence your health and energy levels, and that could like fluctuate under Neptune's influence. Aries risings may feel more fatigued, prone to illness, or mentally drained, but also Aries sun. If you're like at the four first degrees of Aries, Neptune is coming onto your sun, that could definitely be a very dissolving influence of your vitality as well. So be a bit mindful about that. If you feel more tired or if you feel like you need to be alone, just really do it and listen to your body. But on the good side is like this transit is really gonna awaken your intuition. It's gonna enhance your creativity, and also it could bring forth new spiritual pursuits. So the key here is like to balance inspiration with practicality and really ensuring that your dreams and your visions are like supported by a realistic plan. So by the time Saturn will follow into Neptune into Aries, there's going to be like this new version of your identity that will like fully emerge and will like become very, very visible by February 2026. So let me know what happens for you, Aries. I'm really, really curious. And Celestial Emma says, my Mercury is in Aries, more spiritual and incoming. Yes, for sure. Oh my God, your brain antennas are gonna be so bang spot on. So yeah, really use it. If you like run into synchronicity or something pops up into your mind, really write it down. Mercury is also speaking, writing. So really maybe keep a dream journal, or you're gonna have more spiritual conversations. But be a bit mindful about signing things, especially when Neptune is exactly conjunct your Mercury. Because when Neptune was conjunct my Mercury, because I have a Mercury in Pisces, I did sign up for something that was like way beyond my league and was like way too hard for me to like fully grasp or to attain. And my goals around that time really were not realistic. So that's something as a Mercury and Pisces that I can share with you. But good luck, my dear Aries. Then we have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Neptune into your 12th house. So Neptune likes to be in the 12th house. That is good. But with this solar eclipse and Neptune into Aries, that's like illuminating like your deeply hidden corners of your psyche. The 12th house is the realm of the unconsciousness, hidden stuff, karmic patterns, but also spiritual awareness. So this period might feel a little bit foggy or uncertain at first, because you're like being asked to confront your blind spots. It's also about unacknowledged desires or even self-sabotaging tendencies. So it's as if like a curtain is being drawn back to like reveal parts of yourself you've like ignored or never fully seen, and that can create a bit of chaos. So yeah, if you feel like you need to retreat or to reflect, or it will be a good time to delve into healing and mystical work. There's something about maybe there's like something sacred about like this quiet unfolding, even if it comes like through isolation, release, or some kind of loss. Yeah, the individuation process here like involves softening into like surrender and spiritual clarity, and really like allowing dormant parts of yourselves and your psyche to like rise from the shadows. So really trust your dreams, intuition, and your inner wisdom. They are like speaking very, very loudly right now. So yeah, deeply introspective time, therapy, meditation, or even simply sleeping or isolation could like help you. And you're gonna experience more vivid dreams, heightened intuition, and really very good time for subconscious healing as well. It could also like awaken a desire for spiritual growth. So yoga would also be very beneficial. Just things that add to like exploring the hidden aspects of your psyche. Taurus is like typically known for being very grounded, very practical, but Neptune in the 12th is now like gonna dissolve boundaries and like is gonna give you an invitation for deep introspection. So it can also be about hidden anxiety surfacing, or like maybe feeling a bit at war with oneself. Neptune is connected to your friendships in the 11th house. So some Taurus risings especially are going to feel like a need to withdraw from social circles and really like reassess their friendships. Maybe they're going to feel a bit overwhelmed by social obligations as well. So yeah, some Tauruses are going to find that solitude feels way more appealing right now, or than usual. And some friendships are going to get naturally dissolved, because your spiritual priorities are going to shift. So yeah, very, very powerful Neptune in its own house. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck, my dear Taurus. And Emma says, Taurus sun, spend a lot of time in my home retreat. Well, that's perfect. I know Taurus just like to chill out, have a good time, enjoy nature. I like Tauruses a lot. And your husband is Taurus rising. Oh, that is so beautiful. That means that your sun is on his rising, which is one of the best synastry aspects for marriage. So yeah, very, very beautiful, Emma. So the next one is Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Neptune's shift into your 11th house. So for Geminis, this energy floats like into your 11th house of friendships, groups, aspirations, networking, online communities. And the eclipse and Neptune here signal like a powerful reevaluation of who you like align with and what future you're like building towards in regards with your groups and circles. And like really think if your communities like truly reflect your values and your dreams, and are like the goals you've like set for yourself truly your own, or have you like adopted visions from others that like no longer resonate with what you're becoming? Because now is the time to seek out soul-aligned friendships and communities that do support your unique voice and your growth. You may also find yourself shedding associations or social dynamics that feel performative, draining, or inauthentic as well. because the individuation process for you now is very relational. It's about recognizing that your dreams deserve a network that really nourishes them. And you're like really being called to stand up for your own vision and step into a leadership position in circles that matter. So yeah, the 11th house, changes in friendships, changes in long-term aspirations and goals. It's gonna like introduce new spiritually minded or new artistic friends into your life. So it can also be about making them more idealistic about your group connections. So yeah, very, very big tendency towards seeking soul-aligned friendships. It can be, you can find them in like charity. You can also find them in like mystical places or very creative communities. But be wary, because Neptune here, if it makes like bad aspects in your personal natal chart, it could also bring a lot of confusion, deception, or disillusionment in your friendships as well. So yeah, choose your companions wisely, because Neptune is now moving out of your 10th house. So the good news is that you're going to feel less confusion about your career and like more excitement about finding like the right people to collaborate with. So yeah, really network and socialize, but like be mindful of over idolizing others or like falling into group thinking. Yeah, join groups or organizations for social causes that can like really reflect your evolving beliefs, but be mindful of cults. Like Geminis, don't join a cult. And Mars is like in your financial sector in the 2nd house. So Gemini risings are like defining value and self-worth. So may like seek to monetize creative or spiritual talents through social media platforms or like group related ventures. So yeah, really balance your idealism with practical planning. That's going to be maybe a bit harder. But yeah, it's like this transit is really like going to invite you to align your social life with your higher dreams while avoiding confusion in your friendships. So good luck, my dear Geminis. Then we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Neptune's ingress into Aries is going to be in your 10th house. So yeah, 10th house is career, public image, your life purpose. And yeah, it can bring like a deeply emotional turning point. It is in one of the angular houses, so very, very noteworthy, especially for Cancer rising. You're like really being asked to step up and into a truer like version of your professional and public self. One that like really reflects your inner convictions rather than like what's expected or like what's convenient. So yeah, can involve a very significant career change. Can also be about rebranding your image, or like a bold new direction that aligns with your spiritual calling and your true purpose in life. So yeah, it's like the individuation process here can feel like at high stakes, especially when your internal values like no longer match with your external role. So you may also like wrestle a bit with visibility, like how do you want to be seen, and what do you want to be known for as well. So what legacy are you like building? And a sense of like spiritual duty may be like pulling you to serve in a more meaningful or impactful way. So yeah, redefine your success through like the lens of your soul purpose, not just about your status. So yeah, it's about your public image, your long-term ambitions. And this transit can act like as a mystical glow up in your professional life as well. So a lot of Cancers are going to feel much more drawn towards creative arts, healing as a profession, or going to like really explore spiritual fields in their career. So yeah, a lot are going to want to switch their career, embrace a more intuitive and a more purpose-driven path. But Neptune here can create a bit uncertainty or lack of like clarity and regarding to your career goals. It depends on what aspects it makes in your chart. But Mars, yeah, you retrograded. Mars retrograded in your sign. It has now ended. Thank God, my dear Cancer. It was like a hell of a 6 months, I guess. So now it's like really pushing you to like redefine your personal ambitions, because Mars is now dispositing Neptune. So you may be a bit more assertive in your career choices. So yeah, this transit is really like pushing you to avoid deception in your professional settings. Really set clear boundaries with authority figures, and really ensure that their aspirations remain grounded in reality. Really balance your personal life with your career aspiration, because Neptune's like ethereal influence can really create like a blur between public and private roles as well. So good luck, my dear Cancer. Then we have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. How are my Leos doing? Like, Mars is almost finally getting out of your 12th house and it's going to enter your sign soon by the end of April. But then it's going to make the opposition to Pluto. So the last big intense kicks are incoming, and then you will have an easier time than the last 6 months. But Neptune is going into your ninth house of beliefs, of learning, and also higher truth, higher knowledge, wisdom. Yeah, a very, very cool house. It's like religion, and like the house of the Buddha and the house of God. So Neptune's ingress into that is going to make a very big transformation of that. You're like undergoing a process of like philosophical and spiritual awakening, and one that like really challenges outdated ideologies and like really asks you to seek your own wisdom. You may like feel drawn to new studies, maybe some long distance travel, maybe you're gonna bump into new spiritual teachers, or like anything that like really expands your understanding of life and especially yourself. So yeah, you need to reclaim your personal truth. Ninth house is the house of truth. So not what you've like taught to believe, but what resonates deeply from within you. So maybe you're being called to like teach, preach, explore, really like develop the courage to live according to your evolving sense of meaning. It's really like an initiation into a more awakened and purpose-driven worldview. Trust the signs, trust the synchronicities. They are guiding you towards your soul purpose. So yeah, ninth house is the house of spiritual expansion, of adventure, of higher knowledge. Yeah, it's gonna really, really like enhance all of these matters. You're gonna have like a whole new belief system that will like emerge in the next few years. And a lot of them could be triggered to distant cultures, or by spiritual teachers. Can be spiritual teachers from overseas, that will like provide you some new visionary ideas, and it's really like gonna totally reshape your world view, which is part of the ninth house. But watch out for like unrealistic expectations, and I'll also be a bit wary about spiritual disillusionment if Neptune makes hard aspects in your natal chart. But Neptune is like coming out of your eighth house, so it can be about finally a bit relief from like financial confusion, or like feeling emotionally overwhelmed and in regards to intimacy and all of that. So yeah, it's very, very good, because Mars is ending its retrograde in your 12th house, which is like a very, very welcoming sign for you. The 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's your dream world, the unseen realm. Mars there can act as a very, very loud factor. And I think a lot of Leos are going to be released whenever Mars is going to switch signs and is going to end its final opposition to Pluto. Like, I'm going to warn you, Mars will opposite Pluto in your sign. It's going to be a kick in the ass. Like, I'm not going to lie. The last final Pluto-Mars opposition could get very brutal for you, Leos. So I'm just like gonna warn you, especially if you have a Leo sun, moon, or rising in the first, let's say, first 10 degrees. Then you're like in the direct line of fire. So I'm just gonna like put it out there so you can like have a heads up, and when someone is trying to dominate, control, or manipulate you, you know it's the Mars Pluto opposition, and you can tell them to fuck off, because they're gonna try to like really yeah, they're gonna try to hurt you in some kind of way. Can be people who have some kind of authority over you, but I will get like very deep into this in a Pluto-Mars opposition video. So for you guys, for you Leos, it will be important to like watch that for sure. Apart from that, you're like gonna end a very long retrograde of Mars into your 12th house of the subconscious, which was not fun at all. Made you like very tired. So that is like something to be grateful for. So yeah, it's gonna be better for a lot of Leos very soon. But more on that later. So good luck, my dear Leo. Then we have Virgo, sun, moon, or rising. You're gonna have Neptune's ingress into your 8th house of intimacy, transformation, and soul contracts. This is gonna like mark a very deeply cathartic and intimate period, because you're gonna be asked to let go of attachments. So yeah, for Virgos, yeah, this is like a very special one, because yeah, it's so difficult to let go of attachments. It can be about emotional attachments, psychological attachments, financial attachments, and even energetic attachments. And they're going to be attachments that no longer support your growth, and Neptune will dissolve them. That can happen in a very natural kind of way, but it can also feel as a very big loss. Depends on if it makes squares or trines in your personal chart. But on a positive level, it could also like be a dissolving of trauma, because the 8th house rules trauma. So yeah, it's like inherited patterns that are very ready and necessary to be released. And at the same time, very new spiritual powerful bonds might also emerge. Bonds that like gonna help you to reclaim parts of yourself that you've been like hitting, or that you've like lost along the way. So you're actually being guided through like a sacred death and rebirth process, because every planet that enters the 8th house goes to hell and back. So very big rebirth. It can feel a bit intense, can even feel a bit painful, but you are like being initiated into like greater wholeness, especially in a very occult house. So look at your entanglements. Do they like empower your authentic self, or do they dim your light? Because there is also very big or great strength in vulnerability right now. So embrace the inner alchemy. It's going to be a very profound shift. The 8th house is also shared resources like intimacy, psychology, and also like the unseen forces in your life, like energetic vampires are also like in your 8th house. So very deep mystical transit. It's gonna heighten your intuition and your psychic abilities in a very profound way. Virgos are going to be very attuned to the energies, to spiritual messages, and also hidden emotional depths. But be wary. If it makes harsh aspects to your personal planets, it can bring confusion around finances. Can also be an dissolving of inheritance or something like that, or something in maybe you make a financial mistake and end up in some kind of debt. So yeah, Virgos need to be like extra careful with like contract loans and investments, because yeah, it can like dissolve the rigid boundaries in like emotional and financial exchanges. But it's also gonna like open you up to more intense connections that are really like gonna foster spiritual transformation through intimacy with others. But be cautious of financial deception, and be very wary about people's hidden motives. It can be a bit harder to like really see that clearly, and be mindful about unrealistic expectations in partnerships as well. But it is a great time to explore shadow work, get into therapy, or like really follow some esoteric study. It's all part of the eighth house, so it like naturally invites you to like the psychological depths, and it's gonna foster this big personal rebirth. So can also be a heightened romantic or even sexual experiences, like really soulful merging and bonding, really becoming one with your partner, like the sacred sexuality through tantra and other forms are also very applicable here. But it's important to like stay grounded and avoid fantasizing or over idealizing relationships. So yeah, good luck, my dear Virgo. Then we have Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. For Libras, the eclipse and also Neptune's transit is like entering into your seventh house of relationships. It might stir up a little bit of a powerful wave of realizations about partnerships, about equality, and your boundaries in relationships. And you're like really being called to confront the ways in which you might have sacrificed your own truth for the sake of peace and compromise, and to keep the harmony. So yeah, the spirit is going to ask you to assert yourself in your relationships, to like really clarify where you stand, and also to demand like it needs to be reciprocated. And respected. It needs to like go both ways. It's about becoming like fully yourself alongside others. It's like your authenticity in relationships. And for you, it's like a bit harder because you are the sign of Libra. So yeah, but don't accommodate. Yeah, and if like some dynamics have been off, or if you've been like quietly really carrying like resentments and silence, this could be like the moment it all surfaces. And at the same time, new partnerships could also arrive that like really awaken deepen parts of your identity and of your purpose. So yeah, a time to like really engage consciously and courageously in love, in one-on-one relationships, in commitment, and also it's going to help you with your own growth, and also be like brave enough to say like, this is who I am. Like Libras, I know you're all way too sweet, way too compromising, way too like a very big peacemaker. Maybe it's time for you now that you show people who you truly are without being afraid of compromising the harmony between you and the other person. So yeah, there's like a blend of romanticism, spiritual depth, but also potential illusions coming forth in your seventh house. Can also be about a true soulmate coming in for you guys, because Neptune in the seventh is deep soul connections, but it's gonna blur boundaries, can create confusion in your relationships, or bring some unrealistic expectations. Can be about whirlwind romance, spiritual unions, karmic relationships from a past life, and that yeah, maybe some new soulmate comes in to help you on the next leg of the journey, and they all like gonna teach you profound lessons. So really like discern between fantasy and reality in your partnerships. Some Libras are going to find a dream partner, while others might really face illusions shattering in existing relationships. And Neptune in Aries, yeah, it's like it can be about soulful bonds in which you can be yourself. But be mindful of dishonesty, and also be mindful of someone coming into your life, and maybe you feel this incredible familiar bond or connection, but if they are like someone who is a drug addict, or someone who needs some kind of saving, or someone who drinks too much, then you need to be very careful. The rose-colored glasses could fall off if you start a relationship with them. So yeah, the seventh house is also about like therapists and maybe relationship coaches. Seventh house is also about astrologers. There's like a portal opening up in that area as well, so it can be beneficial for you to consult one of these people. So yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I wish you the best, my dear Libra. Then we have Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Neptune's ingress is going into your sixth house of work, health, routine, service, and also your well-being. So yeah, it's like an energy asking you to like redefine what you're like working towards, like how you're working and why you are working. Like your why is like it is like the biggest thing. If you don't know your why, you really need to like get clear on that. So yeah, um, there can be also like this growing dissatisfaction with mundane routines, or like toxic obligations can become very, very clear, especially those that like drain your vitality or suppress your individuality. It's an Aries. So this transit is going to push you to make changes in your schedule, maybe your job, and even your approach to your well-being and your health and your personal discipline. So maybe ask yourself, where do you need to like rise up and take better care of your life and your body? Or where are you like being called to work in a more meaningful way? This is also about channeling this your energy or Neptune's energy into a service towards others that feels very spiritual, fulfilling. It could also lead towards like personal empowering. So you're learning to transform your everyday life or your everyday effort into sacred action, or like sacred action into your everyday effort. And that's going to be of big importance for you. So, sixth house, self-care, desire for maybe a spiritual or holistic wellness. Yeah, maybe meditation, breath work, or like alternative healing methods could really like enhance your health and well-being. And also, if you have problems with your health, they're going to be way much more difficult to diagnose under Neptune's influence. And Neptune in the sixth can also create these vague symptoms related to like exhaustion, can also be about immune system issues, or it could also simply come because of too much stress in your life. The sixth house is work and responsibilities. So yeah, some expectations in regards to your job could also feel unclear or a bit disorganized. So yeah, Scorpios are being asked to or called to like really pursue creative or healing professions, but beware of burnout and maintaining a structure in your daily routines. Because you're gonna need more flexibility in work and well-being, but this will like require you to balance out to like avoid falling into escapism or like disorganization. So yeah, depends on your personal aspects. But that was it, my dear Scorpio. And Mrs. Lopez says, my husband is already really so good about his health, working out, and he is such a hard worker as a Scorpio rising Aries moon. Ooh, Scorpio rising and Aries moon. Like Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, but also by Mars in traditional astrology. So the fact that he's a Scorpio rising and an Aries moon is actually very, very intense. And I've never seen him before, but I think he's actually very, very sexy. And he's going to have very, very intense, alluring, magnetic vibes. Yeah, that's for sure, Mrs. Lopez. So thank you for sharing that. And my Ang says, when to propose my love? Yeah, well, that depends on your personal chart. It depends what your seventh house is doing, what your seventh house Lord is doing towards other aspects. So yeah, you can book in a session if you want me to dive into your chart to look and when is a good time to propose. But actually, if you feel like proposing, you don't even need an astrology chart. Yeah, just follow your heart. That's like the best advice that I can give you. So the next one is going to be Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Neptune's ingress into your fifth house, which is like the spotlight of creativity, joy, romance, and self-expression. So yeah, it's really like a return to or something from the past that has been dissolved could like spiritually come back into your life, something that makes you feel alive, inspired, very joyful. It's like really this call to like reclaim your playful spirit. Because I know, Sagittarius, you have not been having an easy time in the last few months, even 2 years since 2023, since Saturn moved into Pisces. It has been squaring all of the oh no, I'm talking about yeah. It has been squaring all of your sun signs, and of course as well Gemini. I was thinking about Gemini as well. So yeah, I know since 2023 that Sagittarius and Gemini are not having like the best time of their life. But Neptune and Saturn are soon shifting from a square aspect towards your sun, moon, or rising into a trine aspect. So things are getting better for sure. So you might feel more driven to take some more risks, to love more fiercely, to have more romantic lovers or romantic flirts with Neptune in the fifth house of love and romance. And also like give form to like your creative vision. I guess some Sagittarius have been like quietly nurturing some creative visions. Like now is the time to like really express them with Neptune's spiritual power. So it's about like defending also your joy, because Aries is the warrior, or like fighting for your joy. So yeah, it's really like the individuation process of Aries now like centers on expressing your heart authentically and unapologetically. So yeah, children is the fifth house, pregnancy, creativity. All these themes might arise and be like induced with this Neptunian spiritual flavor into that. And it's going to ask you to like cultivate and protect what you're like creating and trying to express into this world. It can be literal, it can be metaphorical as well. So don't hide your fire, really share it with the world right now. So yeah, a very dreamy and romantic energy in the fifth house. It's love, it's pleasure, so spiritual love. If you have a child right now, you can have like a very, very spiritual child. It's about artistic inspiration and intuitive creativity. It's a powerful time for like artistic projects. So yeah, a lot of Sag risings are gonna feel very drawn to create some music, write some poetry, or dance, to like really you can have like these aesthetic dance sessions with Neptune in the fifth. And also like yeah, spiritual forms of creativity really like emerging, but the downside is Neptune's influence in love, so it depends on what aspects it makes. If it makes a square towards other personal planets, it can like also blur reality, making it like harder to see your partners clearly, over idealizing new love relationships that enter your life. So avoid love illusions or like unavailable partners as well. But it's also going to bring this heightened focus, heightened sensitivity towards kids and towards your own inner child. So very wonderful time to reconnect with your playfulness, with passion, and really reboot that joyful expression you have inside of yourselves. So yeah, good luck, my dear Sagittarius. Then we have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Neptune's ingress into your fourth house. So this energy is yeah, rooted into the fourth house of home, family, ancestry, but also your emotional foundation. So It's gonna mark like this dramatic shift in your living situation, or like a deeper emotional foundation. You're gonna be more spiritually attuned to your deep rooted emotions. So yeah, it could also be like an emotional reckoning with your past, and also your upbringing, especially some wounds or some, yeah, some disillusion in regards to the mother can also be applied here. But it will be like a strong call to like really reclaim a sense of inner security, and really like separate from your family, from like the narratives that your family has put on to you, so and things that no longer serve you in regards to your family. And like really finally express the truths in regards to your family that you've been burying. Fourth house can also be your roommate or people you live with together, so it depends on your personal situation. um, so yeah, there is like nothing harder than individuating from the home we came from. So but this is like a time to like build this new internal foundation, one rooted in who you truly are now, not how you were raised. So yeah, this like a call to nurture your inner child, or even break cycles that have run in your lineage for generations. So yeah, it is very spiritual, mystic, sacred ground. The fourth house is also a very yeah, emotional house. So a psychic house even. So let your roots stretch and deepen, even if it means breaking through the soul that you brought up in. So yeah, emotional security is going to be main theme. There can be some disillusions or some confusion in that as well. And it's going to have a big shift in your relationship with your home and personal identity. It's going to bring some dreams about moving. Can also bring a deeper spiritual connection to ancestry after you've like cleaned up the whole thing, and big family related transformations. So yeah, be worry about confusion in your living situation. It's like letting go of like rigid expectations about your family, and really like embracing this more fluid, more intuitive approach to your home life. So good luck, my dear Capricorn. Then we have Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Neptune's ingress into the sign of Aries into your third house. So, yeah, third house is communication, learning, mindset, also your like local or immediate environment. So, yeah, you might feel like a pressing need to like really speak up, to write, to teach, or really like assert your voice in new spiritual ways. So there's something important that needs to be communicated or that needs to be expressed. It might take courage to do so. So if you stand up for yourself right now and you dare to speak out, dare to just say who you are, then that is actually very powerful and very spiritually growing, a sign of spiritual growth. It's also a very powerful time to like develop new skills, and really like challenge your old mental patterns that like keep you stuck in self-doubt or keep you like stuck in silence. The individuation process here is like really intellectual and very interpersonal. It's how you think, it's how you learn, it's how you interact with your environment, and all of these are evolving. So changes in your neighborhood, changes in relationships with your siblings, with your neighbors, with your local environment. You might also be like driven to shift your everyday rhythm to support more creative and an authentic engagement in your everyday life. So let your words be tools of awakening, yeah, but for yourself and then for others. So yeah, third house is thought process, it's learning, the house of study. It's going to bring a very imaginative and a very poetic mind, but it's also potential going to cause some confusion in your conversations. Can also be in your contracts, can also be in your daily communication. So yeah, you're going to feel called to write, speak, learn, and explore all these mystical subjects. but really like fact checked and ensure clarity before you sign anything or come to some kind of agreement. It's going to influence your relationship with siblings and neighbors. Could even potentially dissolve past conflicts, but also bring some misunderstandings as well. It depends on what aspects it makes in your personal chart. So yeah, you're gonna have these really intuitive things that are gonna like come through in your mind. It's important to write them down on paper so you don't forget them. So yeah, Neptune in the third is really enhancing spiritual communication. So good luck, my dear Aquarius. Then we have the last one for today, which is Pisces, my dear Pisces sun, moon, or rising. You are gonna have Neptune's transit out of your sign into your second house of values, resources, money, your self-worth. So yeah, it's a chance to like reclaim your power around what you possess, both materially but also spiritually. So you might find yourself making like bold moves in finance, seeking new sources of income, or feeling like called to invest in a talent or a skill that's been like laying dormant. And it's like about redefining your worth, not through others' approval or external status, but through an honest relationship with your own values. And think about, what do you offer the world? What are you building? What parts of yourself are like waiting to be seen, to be appreciated, and to be developed? Your sense of security is shifting, but that instability is like clearing the path for a more spiritually aligned form of abundance into the second house of money. So know that you are your most valuable resource. I'm gonna say it again. Dear Pisces, you are your most valuable resource. Really nurture that. So, yeah, a lot of you are going to feel called into pursuing some artistic, spiritual, or intuitive ways of earning an income. But you already embody that, my dear Pisces. You are the sign that's like about spirituality and about intuition. Be careful about like a bit of deception or like self-deception in your second house area. Neptune can also bring like a financial confusion. You need to be cautious with spending, budgeting, and investments. Definitely if it makes like harsh aspects in your natal chart. But this is like a big opportunity to like embrace abundance on a conscience level while like remaining financially responsible. That is like going to be biggie for you guys. But anyway, it's gonna like, this transit is gonna like really inspire a shift in how you like define wealth into your life. So yeah, I'm gonna say it again, like, you are your most valuable resource. And with all these things and all these big endings in your sign, all these things at the last degrees of Pisces, like the last 2 years have been pretty intense, pretty colorful. But know that two big bad boys, two big outer planets are gonna shift from your sign into your second house. You're gonna have to be, whenever Saturn enters your second by the end of May, that is going to be a time to like really be very realistic and very, very careful with money. I'm just like going to put it out there. Saturn in the second can cause some delays or issues in regards to finances. So don't make any, if it's too good to be true in regards to finance, it probably is. So be a bit mindful about that, but it all depends on your personal natal chart. So, good luck, my dear Pisces. And Mrs. Lopez says, thank you for this video breakdown of Neptune changing signs. Well, you're very, very welcome, Mrs. Lopez. Thank you so much for joining. And Rita McLeod, hi, Rita. I look forward to your video so much. Well, that is so sweet, Rita. I want to thank each and every one of you for following along. And yeah, I also want to thank everyone for the beautiful birthday wishes. 2 hours before my new solar return kicked in, I reached 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, thank you all so much for making this beautiful journey. I feel like really, really appreciative of all of you guys, and I'm sending you all a lot of hugs and a lot of love, and may Neptune changing signs for you be a welcoming new yeah, let's welcome in this new path and really take action on your dreams, because all of your dreams are worth fighting for. So thank you so much, and I'm sending a lot of love your way, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.